Welcome, everybody. We're very pleased that you could take the time out of your busy schedules to join us for this webinar. Today, First Residents will be introducing Ion Intelligence, the new Ion FactoryOS experience, and Ion Marketplace. At any time during the webinar, please enter your questions into the Q&A panel, and we will answer those at the end of the discussion. I'd like to turn it over to our CEO, Karan Talati, to introduce the panel.
All right, thank you, Ron. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's exciting to be here. I'm Karan Talati, CEO and co-founder of First Residents, and I'm joined by our VP of Engineering, Alan Cutler, and our Head of Product, Manav Sanghvi. Really excited to be talking about some product innovations that we've been working on in 2025 at First Residents. It's our most ambitious yet. To kick things off, I'll give a brief introduction on myself. I started First Residents about 6 years ago. We've done a lot since then. My background comes from manufacturing, particularly building a lot of the core automation systems at SpaceX in the early 2010s. It's taking a lot of those learnings, combining them with the years of hard work that we've been on the journey of here at First Residents, and thrilled to be here. Pass it over to Alan for a quick introduction for himself.
Thanks, Karan. Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to talk today about what we're introducing. A little bit about me, my background. Been at the company a year. Been a lot of fun so far. Been an engineer for 20 years. And so, been in small and large organizations in the past, a few that have seen hyperscale. And so excited to be here, excited to be at a startup and really building the product that we're building and meeting the needs of our customers. So excited. What about you, Manav?
Yeah, so I've been at First Residents for 3 years now, and background similar to Karan, also worked in manufacturing as a mechanical engineer for quite some time on a lot of complex products, satellites, carbon fiber, additive printed metals, and parts as well. So it was really wonderful experience to transition over to First Residents and see all the cool things that our customers are building, and really excited to help them all level up here and show you what we got.
Great. And coming into this, one thing that Alan and Manav and I were talking about is it's never been a more exciting time. I think in manufacturing, in software, in technology, it's all coming to a head. And that's, I think, particularly what we're excited to talk about today. But before we dive into that, let's talk about, why we're here at First Residents. Manufacturing is facing extraordinary pressures. Mm-hmm. That was true when we started First Residents 5 years ago. It has never been truer. With the geopolitical tensions, the need for scaling up for manufacturers, both on the consumer side as well as the defense and military side, maintaining resilient supply chains and doing so more efficiently than ever. I mean, this is not an easy thing for manufacturers to be doing. And that's why we started First Residents back when we did. And if anything, we started it because the legacy software stack was really just getting in the way. It wasn't helping. Those systems are rigid, they're slow to adapt, they create silos, and as fancy as they might look, the way that they manage data, the way that they force their users to put information into the software, it's just so tenuous. It's full of labor, and this is all much harder because in manufacturing, you're working between the digital and physical world. That's been changing, over the past few years with big data systems, modern APIs, cloud computing. These systems have all helped. But I think now in 2025, this is all improving at a breakneck speed and capability as a function of AI. Not to be cliche, but AI has been in the zeitgeist and in conversation for a few years now, since 2023 and OpenAI putting up ChatGPT. But we really do believe, and what we observe is that 2025 is the year where vertical companies, vertical applications like manufacturing can deploy AI in a really meaningful capacity. And that's what we're here to talk about. So today, I'm really excited to share that this is our most ambitious release to date since starting the company. Today, we're announcing an all-new Ion experience that's built from the ground up to be simpler, faster, and it brings a modern interface. This is bringing in a lot of the lessons that we've learned over the past many years, not just weeks and months, and giving a much more performant and great user experience to our customers than ever before. And like I was mentioning before, we're also announcing Ion Intelligence. We're bringing agentic manufacturing to manufacturing for real with Ion Intelligence, right in the same experience that they are using the Ion FactoryOS in today. And then finally, we're announcing the Ion Marketplace. Over the last few years, we've been working with some incredible partners, dozens of partners across PLM, ERP, custom development solutions, etc. But we've all been managing them ad hoc, and I'll talk more about this in a bit. But we are bringing all of that into one place now with Ion Marketplace. We are showing and showcasing our partners, such as PLM providers like Arena and Duro, supply chain solutions like Silkline and Procurable, compliance solutions like Everstar and Ground Control, Razorleaf, Violet Labs on integration side, and many, many more, all in one place so that First Resonance customers can see solutions that work well with Ion and work well on top of the Ion platform. So let's jump into some of these details. Everybody's excited about AI. Ion Intelligence brings that agentic AI into the factory, like I was mentioning before. Now let's break down a few definitions. Many people know what AI is, some know, and have experienced large language models. But we've been talking a lot about agents. What is an agent? Agentic workflows are extensions of those LLMs, pretty much those chat interfaces, that really extend into real-world applications, allowing you to call into your custom data sets and also affect data out in the process. This is through tool calling and some of those advancements that have been made since the LLM revolution a few years ago. We have taken those learnings and basically deployed solutions or developed solutions that are custom built for manufacturing. What this allows for is workflows that adapt in hours and minutes, not weeks or months. And with our preliminary testing, what we're already seeing is that these agentic workflows can get smarter and smarter every week as a function of the models getting better, as a function of the tools getting better. And then, of course, the more you use these systems in your business, the better these systems become. And that's extremely exciting because, like I was mentioning earlier, this is really what the kind of like takeoff point is, we believe, at First Resonance for really bridging together the physical and digital worlds with agentic workflows. It's not a bolt-on workflow. We are building that right into the new Ion experience. It's built AI first. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alan to talk more about how we've been building and what we're building.
Thanks, Garan. It's exciting. Innovation isn't just what we build, it's really how we build it. And I want to start with why, right? Why now, not just from a technology perspective, but, we think about market demand. We think about what our customers are doing, the growth that our customers are experiencing. We've seen 10x growth in factory square footage. I mean, it's pretty astounding. And so we really need to meet that market demand and be able to help our customers in their growth. So, we've integrated AI into everything we do from a day-to-day basis. We've integrated into our software delivery lifecycle. And how we do this is using AI to really generate quality is the first one as an example, which is generating end-to-end tests, which is how we simulate user activity within the product. We can generate really low-level unit tests, right? And performance there's huge benefits from a performance perspective. We're using the latest technology, not just in AI, but just, from a platform and a front-end perspective to drive things like server-side rendering, which allows us to actually bring the client or the platform closer to the server, which is reduces load time, reduces latency. So our customers will see huge improvements around performance. And this all allows us using AI to move faster, right? And we look at AI as really a partner, an engineering partner, right? So there's the human in the loop piece, which is I can go tell an agent to generate code, and that agent can go generate that code and then actually open a pull request just like any other engineer would. And it's pretty astounding how fast this happens, right? So for my team, it's interesting because we're actually just trying to keep up with all the pull requests that these agents are building. And because there's the human in the loop piece, you're able to interact and provide that feedback back to AI. and it allows us to deliver product faster. And it's been astounding over the last several months. You and I have talked a lot about where AI is. We've had these conversations about how it generates faster product, meets the demand of the market for our customers. So it's really an exciting time to be an engineer. Um, Never at any point in my career have I seen anything like this in the last really 3 to 6 months with AI. It's been around for, a long time, but the advancements in, you talked about tooling and MCP and the advancements just in LLMs, we really can now leverage that to a degree that is really, really exciting. It really changes how we define our roles, right? How we collaborate together. And so engineers, it changes a little bit in how we think and having that kind of co-pilot or that partner, but it also changes other roles, right? And how we collaborate. So Mana, how do you think AI has kind of changed your role, and how do you think about this? Any insight you can provide?
Yeah, totally. I think the role of product management in the past was often talking to customers, capturing requirements, and building the right kind of interface to hand off to engineering in terms of written language. But now we're taking that English, and instead of just giving engineering a document, we can, product managers are also designers and engineers. So we'll take that, we'll turn it into a design. And this design is all code, which is wonderful because that's, of course, the language that engineering speaks. So we can design it as code. We can go validate that with customers. And then we can hand that off to engineering. And now, like you said, the time to value of that feature or product that we're building has been greatly reduced because now you're getting a whole functioning prototype as opposed to a Figma or like a static drawing, right? Or a written language. So it's been a night and day difference. Cool. So what you're seeing here is the new Ion experience. I'm really excited to be sharing this all with you. As we kind of talked about, it's been wonderful working with the engineering, and just wanted to like emphasize this took weeks. We're not talking like many months. We're not talking years. This took weeks to get to this level of fidelity, and we're so excited to unveil it. You're seeing some cool things there on the screen, like light and dark mode, which we implemented. But you're seeing a lot of the supply chain workflows already built and fully functioning, and even having had customers like play around and test with it. So we're really excited to start rolling it out. Ion is a lot faster. It's more intuitive, and it's designed around how manufacturing actually works. And so, as Alan mentioned, not really using AI and code generation to build faster, but we're using the latest technology stack to make Ion much more performant. And you're seeing that as we kind of flip through these pages here, how quickly it's loading and transitioning. So really keeping in mind that manufacturers are building faster than ever. It's very intuitive now. We've been using a clean, modern design language. We all have our favorite tools. So we've been leveraging those favorite tools in the software space to borrow the best components and experiences from them and build them directly into Ion. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just we're leveraging what's best in class to provide our customers and end users with the best possible experience. We've already had the opportunity to show this to a few, and like the reaction every single time is like, wow, this just looks better. And I haven't even had the opportunity to click through anything yet. So it's been really great. Finally, the most important part, the meat and potatoes, the workflows. We are spending more time than ever with customers and at their factories, learning how they actually operate their jobs every day, and we're adapting the workflows to mirror that. It's going to look different and feel different, but it's going to hopefully feel a lot more intuitive based off of how you're already doing your job on a day-to-day basis. So many really cool things that you've seen from deep collaboration with customers and our design partners. As we click through this, we have cool things like FIFO, as we've worked out the supply chain side, making sure that's first class. We have put away requests. We have the ability to surface historical lead times and cost data, making sure feedback, issues, and red lines on procedures is very apparent. So when you're going to revise a procedure, it's clear that you're making like a step level change in the next version of a procedure. And with all of those, we pride ourselves on being data driven. And all those examples that I just gave are examples of how we're interweaving data directly into the workflows and allowing you to make data-driven decisions right there on the spot, as opposed to having to go to an analytics tool or a dashboard to get that data. So we're finding out everyone's favorite dashboards and just bringing it directly into the experience. There's a lot of other really cool things. Garn, you have any favorite aspects of Ion that just over the past few weeks?
I mean, so many. I think one of my favorite aspects of this has been how in our traditional stack, it took so long to go after the small low-hanging fruit, right? Because hearing this feedback from customers and then getting it onto the roadmap, sometimes like those small things, they go by the wayside.
Mhm.
But in this approach, what we've been able to do is just go right after those and bring that delight in like a short amount of time. So I think a good example is exactly what you mentioned with like the FIFO default inventory management. We know that that's a manufacturing thing, and at the end of the day in software, it's just sorting your collection, right?
Yeah.
I think that's just absolutely fantastic. It really pulls together, the software acceleration here and what the manufacturing needs to be successful.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. So the next slide here, we've got how we're actually interweaving Ion Intelligence with the new experience. So these two are going to be married together. So you're not only getting the fast, intuitive workflows from the new Ion experience, but they're going to be data-driven. They're going to have AI built in, and that's going to be personalized to your data and to your operations, as Karan was mentioning before. The whole point of bringing these two together is we don't want Ion Intelligence to just feel like another way you can seek information, but actually like embedding those specific use cases that are very common and popular directly into the workflow, so that it's really making a step level change in how you operate. So a few of those examples, one that you're seeing on the screen there. Intelligent recommendations when you're creating and dispositioning an issue. How have you dispositioned similar issues in the past? How can we recommend what disposition you're likely going to take? What are the steps that you then need to take to actually resolve that issue, making that process a lot faster? And that's just one example. We have a lot of those, and they all kind of like take unique different forms as we are building them in. Another one is like creating a procedure or revising a procedure based off of feedback that you've gotten with these LLMs. We can now take a lot of that text, look at historical procedures and operations that you already have, and generate completely new operations that resolve all of those issues that you maybe have seen in the past. So kind of like a self-healing aspect of procedures even. And then some other things like OCR for receiving or voice capture when you're operating as a technician, you're actually capturing a lot of data. Those little things that make your job a lot faster and easier, those are the things that we're really trying to nail with this. So our goal is to cut down on the repetitive tasks, downtime, and just enable all manufacturers to make a lot more data-driven decisions, spot anomalies, and all of this, as Karen said, with human in the loop in mind. The goal is not to be doing things on behalf of manufacturers, but to augment them and make them a lot more powerful as a result of that. So embedded with Ion Intelligence, the new Ion experience will give you an unparalleled leap in how you operate. I'll hand it off to Garan to close out.
Are we gonna do some time for
Let's do
Q&A?
some questions.
Yeah, let's do some questions, I think. Yeah. Looks like we got a few questions. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, definitely keep the questions rolling. We're tracking them. We're adding them to our list. But yeah, it looks like we got a few here. I'll start with is Ion Intelligence included in my FactoryOS license, or do I need to buy a new technology? If I need to buy, is it possible to first get it as a trial? Karan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, great question. So Ion Intelligence is an additional functionality. We are rolling it out starting next month with existing customers in a very exclusive preview period. We've designed Ion in the way that Manav described. The new Ion experience is meant to support AI first, but Ion Intelligence is an additional functionality There's a lot, I think, to learn. While we've gotten some of these initial workflows down, we're really eager to learn a lot from how this, how ion intelligence is going to be used in the field, and hold true to that. Because when it comes to hallucinations, when it comes to lack of predictability, one of the things that we're definitely focused on and committed to at First Resonance is getting this right for high criticality industries like manufacturing.
Good question. Looks like we got a few more coming in. I've got one here. Alan, I'll hand this off to you. Ion Intelligence looks amazing. I understand that AI tools need solid data in order to be useful. How are you ensuring that Ion Intelligence has access to useful data, and how can we train it on that data that is important to our company?
Yeah, thanks. It's a good question. We focused a lot on the latest cutting edge around AI and how we bring data to these large language models. And so, we're using protocols that are new that allow us to provide context that is specific to a customer, right? So, Garin mentioned tools. And well, those tools are really just avenues for AI to be able to actually grab data. So we have a lot of, being in business for the time that we've been and having the customers we have, you need to have a good foundation of data for any AI strategy. But the good thing is we have data. And we always want more, right? We're hungry for data, but there's so much we have from existing customers that we can actually use as context as we're actually asking questions, in either a chat window, or we're asking questions or providing, insights through the application in these different interfaces. These tools will provide data from, our manual, from our databases, and we'll continue to look for different sources of how we pull in that data, but also to be able to make sure it's very specific to the customer that's asking those questions. So how we think about data, how we use data is a huge part of AI strategy, and something that is exciting because these protocols now allow us to leverage data in a way that we really just haven't been able to before. So hopefully that answers some of that question. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
I'd love to layer on to that. One of the things that we've been really excited about, and it's counterintuitive to most people out there, is that the advancements with LLMs, and especially going into this agentic world of using LLMs, don't require training on the data.
Yes.
And I think that's a really important insight, as this has been like rapidly evolving in the last 6-12 months. Because all of the kind of AI and machine learning work that happened in the past decade required vast amounts of data for neural nets and things like that. The counterintuitive thing is that LLMs are very powerful, but they don't require data to train on. You can call into your data set, and the LLM in flight will make use of that data. But it doesn't need to train on it. And I think that's what's really exciting about unlocking the opportunity for manufacturers is help people find information faster, but don't require vast amounts of data to like fine tune a model before you can start, unleashing this value.
Yeah, that's an important piece. I mean, you really are bringing your data at the time of interacting with a large language model, right? So, it's not that machine learning doesn't have its place, but you're not having to train models and then be able to deal with, the data and the drift of those models. So there's definitely a place for that in the ecosystem, but these large language models are so exciting because, to your point, we're just providing that data at that time. So there's the nice thing is there's less of a concern of, well, how are you training or what are you doing with that data?
Exactly.
We just are able to bring in the right sourcing and partition it for customers specifically.
And as a function of that, fully compliant, no cross-contamination across different tenants or different customers of that data, because we don't have to train, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna take the next one, which is when. And I'll go ahead and answer that. So what you all saw today is actually getting progressively rolled out today to our customers, starting with our design partners and progressively rolling it out over the next few days and coming weeks to our entire customer base. And we're not done yet. We actually have a lot of work to continue rolling out new functionality at the pace that we have been. So expect to see a lot more stuff in the coming days and new workflows. But the goal is we are rolling it out today. So great. Let's see. Looking at, I got a good question here. Looking at public companies like Palantir that are building, enabling agentic manufacturing workflows, what would you say is a key differentiator in the First Resonance product? Garn, you wanna take that one? I know you've been doing a lot of digging into this.
Yeah, sure. Look, it's a big question, and there's no doubt that big companies across the board are unleashing the opportunity with AI, including companies like Palantir. Look, I think the differentiator here at First Resonance is the same differentiator we started the company on and have been employing over the past many years, which is a maniacal focus on our customers and the use case that we're serving. So even within manufacturing at First Resonance, we have been highly focused on quality critical, mission critical types of applications in aerospace, energy, robotics, big machinery kind of things. And I think at the end of the day, what you get out of that is that we're just going to be better about the specific workflows. While there are companies, that are going to develop custom solutions on a per application basis, we're really on a mission to productize this. Really for a market as opposed to any manufacturer that wants to give AI a shot.
Awesome. Thanks, Karan. Let's see. I got another question here. I'm excited to see the Ion Marketplace. Will I be able to purchase partner applications directly from First Resonance? And then just kind of tying together another question here. Will Ion Intelligence be applied to marketplace integrations, for example, to monitor error logs and suggest fixes?
I'll take that one. Yeah, I think so. On the first question, which was part one of marketplace, what was part one of marketplace?
Will I be able to purchase
Yeah.
partner applications directly from First Resonance?
Got it. Yeah. So it's a great idea. It's something that we've been thinking about. No promises on this. First, we want to make sure that we're introducing manufacturers to tools that work well with Ion and work on top of Ion over time. Definitely like being able to unify billing and kind of do all that. There's some infrastructure that we have to set up after we get this flywheel going of the marketplace. Marketplace is going to be open for signups. So if you are a partner, potential partner application, we encourage you to sign up. That sign up will be opening up by the end of the week on our website. And a lot of opportunity here to do more business together and for manufacturers to just consolidate their spend. And on the second one, this is it's a great idea, right? Like marketplace serving these agentic workflows and allowing kind of these AI applications to use data from Ion. Once the customer subscribes and is using that agent, is definitely something that we're big fans of and have been exploring. I think Alan mentioned this earlier, the rise of the standardization of MCP, the Model Context Protocol, making these tools available to AI agents. We're on the very leading edge of opening opportunity here. We already have an amazing API that our partners have been building on top of, our customers have been building on top of, and now we can open that same kind of agentic API up through MCP. Sorry for throwing out all those acronyms. As you could tell, there's a lot of jargon. It's all moving very quickly, and we will be able to open up the marketplace, these agentic workflows over time.
Cool. I'm going to answer one of these really quickly here. Will the new interface be available in Sandbox? Answer is yes. We'll be rolling this out in Sandbox and production to our customers. You can decide to test it out in Sandbox, and then when you're comfortable with the new experience, rolling that out to production with your broader team, coupled with like documentation coming from the First Resonance team.
And I'll actually just add to that. For First Resonance customers, keep an eye out for a message from your manufacturing success manager, who after today's webinar, if they haven't already reached out, will be working with you very closely to ensure that we are getting over all the training documentation and developing an implementation plan for that rollout to be successful through the summer.
Yeah. Alan, I got a couple for you. I'll just tie together two here. I like seeing the certainty. I think that was a reference to the maybe like recommendations image that we showed there. But are people clear that the percentage certainties for recommendations are better then they're best experts, or is there some pushback?
And I think this is referring to the confidence scores.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what we're trying to do and what we are doing with AI is number one, we need to make sure that it's very clear what that confidence is, right? When we're providing recommendations, it's important that those recommendations, they are insight based on all the data that we have in the platform. So it's taking a lot of the context of how manufacturing has been done to provide these recommendations. Now, having experts that can actually look at that and give feedback is also really important. Like AI is not going to be 100% in any given thing. We talk about kind of internally like the 70% number of like a lot of efficiency with AI, a lot that we can do, a lot of insight that even we internally have found through this process, right? We've looking at data, running these contexts, building MCP, building these LLM agents. There's findings that we find that just things are maybe we didn't think about previously, right? So, having experts is fantastic. That's important, and
I think it's absolutely necessary.
It's 100%.
The experts aren't going anywhere. If anything, in manufacturing, AI-enabled workflows allow the experts to really work on the things that matter. And coming from that manufacturing experience and background, the amount of time I spent just on manual issue tickets and seeing which supplier has a certain level of stock available, I could spend days of my week doing that kind of manual work, not focused on the design or process innovation to make my product better and safer. So couldn't overstate the importance of the expert. And I think this is the time where this is the expert's time.
100%. And it goes back to human in the loop.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need those experts to continue to make AI better. Right.
Yeah.
So there always has to be that feedback mechanism, right? Like this is the recommendation that we're making. And when you have experts that can say, yes, I agree with this, I don't agree with this, it's really important because over time, it also just provides additional context to these large language models that allows them to actually provide more accurate recommendations.
Right.
So that's why you really need to look at AI as a partner. It's not something that's replacing experts, not replacing humans. It's really a coworker.
Yeah, it's absolutely a coworker. Yeah. And in manufacturing, it's a junior intern, right? It's somebody that can look for, hey, when was the last time that we made an update to this parts design? What were the PDR notes coming out of that, right? That could take hours, days, whatever it can, and it could be incomplete, So it's really what we're looking to do is use AI to help manufacturing, which is so strapped for the workforce as it is, to rise up and do the work that matters the most. Now, one more thing I want to layer onto that question, the confidence interval. It's important for us to show this confidence interval, like how confident are we? At the end of the day, it is a best guess. So there is going to be a new type of, I think, user experience that emerges. And I think we're still very much at the forefront in society of understanding how to use AI on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, right? And I think a lot of people are going to get lost in the confusion. If you get one error in AI and you abandon it, you're going to be outpaced by someone else who understands that there is an importance in prompting the AI correctly or feeding it the right references or context in order to make the right decisions, right? So the difference between saying, hey, fix this issue, right? And saying, hey, for this part that has this revision from the supplier, look into all the NASA specs available for that build and recommend a fix. Those are just two different inputs, and you're going to get two very different outcomes. Obviously, the latter being something that will really accelerate a lot of people's work.
And then one last thing I want to touch on, which is exciting, is not all this is also on the customer, right? Like you can provide that feedback and say, hey, this isn't what I was looking for. But it's also, as first residents and as a product team and an engineering team, we also will continue to monitor how effective AI is, listening to our customers, making sure that we're also prompting and using AI in an efficient way to actually get more accurate as well. So it's really a bi-directional conversation. And it's something that we're living and breathing on a day-to-day basis, and we'll continue to improve.
Yeah, totally. I think the last thing I'll say, the other really cool part about that last thing that you mentioned about the bi-directional conversation is we can tweak the prompts very quickly.
Mhm.
And so we can change how the results of this, we can test, we can see the validation from customers, whether or not they're accepting those recommendations, and continue to tweak it until it gets to a point where it's incredibly useful. So, security is the name of the game. It's a really important value for us at First Resonance. We power a lot of customers in a variety of different industries, but also, aerospace and defense here. So we got a few questions. How do you make sure that data shared with the AI model will be secure? And then just to tie that into one more, the AI functionality looks great. Thanks for implementing this into the new operating system. I am concerned that my build processes and intellectual property may be compromised or viewed by unauthorized persons. How are you keeping our data secure with these new capabilities? Alan, you want to take that?
Yeah, it's an important question. It's a question, honestly, I'd be surprised if it wasn't asked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is always a question that comes up with AI, and it's a good question. Obviously a value of ours is we are secure, and it's something that we live day in and day out. Security and compliance is of the utmost importance to everybody. Engineering, product, all of our leadership team, for our customers. And so in this whole process of building Ion Intelligence, we've spent a lot of time around security and compliance. How is data moving through the system? Where are the models sitting? And so we've actually taken an approach where the models that we're leveraging, number one, are compliant for what we're trying to achieve. And two, we've actually spent a lot of time with vendors like AWS to actually sit with them and go through their architecture and how these models are being leveraged, where they're sitting in the infrastructure. Are they actually getting reported back to, for instance, any of the providers of those models, right? So we spend a lot of time, because it's such an important topic, really making sure that we work with these vendors, that in our product, we also trace where that data is flowing in the system. So I can confidently say for sure that I feel really, really good about, number one, from a security perspective, where we stand with AI. And two, going back to the conversation we had around just MCP and tools and bringing data to LLMs, because of the way that we've worked with just our team and our cloud service provider vendors, this data is not being shared. It's being provided to the model and then essentially being thrown away.
Yeah.
Right? After it provides that response, there's nothing that's stored in a database. There's nothing. It's literally just context that gets wiped away. And we spend a lot of time as just an absolute value of ours to make sure that we do that right.
Yeah. And I think, the great thing, just to add to that, is we're building on all the foundations that have made Ion a secure platform from the get-go. We're serving multiple customers that have ITAR compliance needs and other compliance needs using, like Alan mentioned, our cloud service provider. One of the interesting things about AI in general right now is actually there's so much opportunity. If you just think about it, right? You could theoretically unleash an AI and say, hey, fix all my issues. But we don't have that yet. Why don't we? It's because the community has actually been taking very seriously this whole problem around what tools do you make available to the AI. The cloud vendors have already built the constructs for restricting the ability for a container to reach out into the open internet, right? Being able to block that down. So this is all the same kind of principles of our web application even that we're benefiting from all the great work that's been done in cybersecurity and the advancements in AI, like guardrails and specific tool calling and open world closure and things like that. So
I can't tell you how many times we've said guardrail internally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot, right? It's important. And to your point, and we've had this conversation a lot, Manav, we've had this conversation, which is, what do we allow AI to do, right? What can it read? What can it do? And that's something that's really important, is it's not just unleashed. And so I just want to reiterate that, not to echo the same thing, but guardrail is something that I've said more times than I can count, and the rest of the team. And so, we're going to be very responsible about it.
Great. Let's see. I've got a few more questions coming in. Really great questions from everybody. Really appreciate the thoughtfulness here. Looks like we got one. It appears that Ion is taking on some of the traditional role of ERP beyond MES, including inventory, factory orders, etc. what is the role of Ion with ERP going forward, and are there further key integration points with other applications? I'll go ahead and take that one, but feel free to add in, Karan. So yeah, we've always kind of branded ourselves as a factory operating system, and everything that happens within the four walls of the factory is really where we excel. ERP isn't necessarily going away. We don't expect you to not have to need for accounting, finance, people, team, organizational structures, all the other traditional functionality that comes with an ERP. Those aren't necessarily things that we're looking to solve, but we do partner with a lot of ERP companies and other third kind of like party providers who help connect Ion to ERPs, and that's where this marketplace really comes in handy. Is that we have a whole slew of existing integrations and partnerships that will help you build those integrations that you still will inevitably need between Ion and ERP. And fortunately, we have a lot of good use cases and stories of customers who have already done this with a few different types of ERP platforms. So we're getting quite good at these, and that's why we've created this space for you to have that conversation with the people that we trust to build those integrations for you between ERP and Ion.
Yeah, well, and I'll add to that with our partners and working with many ERPs. This is nothing new. We've been working on functionality that has been viewed as traditionally part of ERP for years.
Mhm.
The reason we've done that, the reason we continue to do that, is because we know that the manufacturing floor and manufacturing operations have been changing. Over the last many decades, these big ERP systems have claimed to enable things like accurate inventory tracking and real-time data collection from the factory floor. But the reality, and this is why we started First Resonance, is that these ERPs have come up short. And so that's why we've been bleeding into workflows like inventory management and purchase order creation. And why we've also integrated with other supplier platforms for procurement and RFQ processes is because we view First Resonance and our function here to really work with our customers to solve the problems that they need solved. And the fact that these ERPs have not solved for that tight integration between what material do I have on hand and how do I get that onto my factory floor, which is inherently a manufacturing concern, is why we got started on this problem years ago, why we're doubling it down on it now.
Yeah, I personally had a lot of experience struggling to figure out how to get the right data out of an ERP system or an MES that weren't talking to each other, or knowing which system to even
And
go
then you
to.
have double data entry at best.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, really pride ourselves in how we've gone beyond the bounds and really taken away a lot of the heat around some of those problems there. So
Two more questions. How are we doing on time? Yeah, great.
2 more questions. All right. Let's make them count. I'll do a quick one and then we'll save another one. So we've been talking about Ion Intelligence quite a bit. Looks like we got another question. When receiving inventory, will Ion be able to suggest locations for inventory based on grouping inventory with product already on hand or historical locations? So really good question. And I want to talk through how, that's just one example of where we've taken data and we've infused it directly within the workflow. So whenever you do receive, we are suggesting, hey, this is where you have inventory for this product already, or this is where you've typically put that part away. And that's just one example of data being woven in. And there's a lot more of that. We talked about FIFO earlier, automatically recommending what inventory needs to be picked at all. And taking that decision-making process out of the user, out of the material handler, just suggesting, hey, this is where you need to go, and this is the inventory you need to grab, and here's the quantity. Here's your pick list, and now your job is a lot easier. So really taking that data, infusing it, and that's all going to get, of course, augmented with Ion Intelligence, but there's a lot of those specific use cases already built in out of the box. All right. Let's see. We got a good one. Speaking of LLM, much of the manufacturing data is not in natural language. Can your system handle models, parameters, and other types of data?
Garn, you wanna take that, or
I'm
Alan?
gonna start. I could add to it. Or start?
Yeah, why don't you start?
Okay. It's a good question. Data again, our data strategy really matters. And so we have a lot of structured data, which is, what's in our APIs today. We talked about locations. There's an audit log of where inventory has gone through the factory. That's something we can easily provide. But when we think of semi-structured or unstructured data that we want to be able to get, right, there's ways to standardize that and then provide that to AI, right? So it's really part of our data strategy. I know you have a data engineering background as well, that you could speak to this, but it always reminds me of like the analogy of there's so much data under the water from an iceberg perspective. And so we really have an important data strategy of getting to that understanding of that data and normalizing that data to provide that to AI, right? To learning machine learning models or to large language models. Our data strategy is really critical in the additional insights that we'll provide to customers. And so that's something we're actively pursuing day in and day out. This is the first pass, but we're going to continue to look at ways of getting additional data to leverage insights for our customers. It's not a one and done. This isn't like we're going to just take structured data and provide it to AI for it to provide insights. We have to go much, much further than that.
Yeah, and look, I'll layer onto this. I think like if I could see the question again, just this specific question, I wanted to kind of almost like challenge or ask the question back. Much of the data in manufacturing is not natural language. Can your system handle models, parameters, and other types of data? I mean, just laying on to what Alan said, like one thing that I found fascinating about AI is that it is a bridge between this world of structured and unstructured data. Great quote that Andre Karpathy, the former director of AI at Tesla, said was, the hottest new programming language is English. And I think there was something really profound about that, which I think we're just at the forefront of realizing what that means. I think a lot of people have experience with ChatGPT where you're going English in, English out, or whatever language, actually. If you haven't tried it, speak any language to ChatGPT. It will actually be able to respond. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But going back to this, we're just so at the forefront of this kind of like, it's kind of like human-like experience, but really the power of everything that this AI has the capability of doing. Feed it a JSON file, feed it a CSV, feed it any other type of data that you'd like to in ChatGPT or the upcoming Ion Intelligence, and see what it does. Make sense of this file, or what's the error here. LLMs are very, very good at this because behind the English that they're able to take in and speak back out to you, they have the vast knowledge of how to reason with this structured and unstructured data. And I think that's actually hugely powerful on the factory floor, where one piece of data could be a video log of an engine teardown, for example, and another piece of data could be a very structured time series data. And another thing could be an annotation that somebody says about what happened on a quality nonconformance. These LLMs can actually understand and respond in all those languages. It's very it's a polyglot.
Yeah, just it is. And just to geek out a little bit, we were having this conversation earlier about, feeding in, you could have a document that's completely unstructured, right? That doesn't have a structured layout. And these large language models have OCR built in. So you can get a data format out of it. Now, the cool thing about that is we can figure out then how to normalize that data, right? So, AI really is the bridge in at least finding some structure, and then we can analyze that structure, to your point. It's the great thing about these LLMs is something like JSON just so heavily used. The spec is so heavily known that even if it's not our standard keys and values within the data set, we can actually normalize that naturally into our system, right? The cool thing about agent to agent with AI is you could actually have one agent that just takes a document and normalizes it into some JSON structure. You could have another agent that actually reviews that and says, okay, well, how well did you do? How do we then take that and actually go convert that into something else that's meaningful? You could have another agent that actually reviews that agent's work, and you can go back and have this loop. And that's where really agent to agent orchestration comes in. And that's the power of AI. It's not just a single large language model. And that's definitely not what we're doing under the hood, right? We've had a lot of these conversations where you're not talking to a single agent, you're talking into mini agents that are actually going to be really archetypes or a certain personas of a job that they're supposed to perform. And they're going to get really good at performing that specific job. And when they work together, the outcome is really astounding.
Awesome. Thank you all for the questions. Really appreciate that. If you have any more, we'll definitely ask your first residence, manufacturing success manager. We're happy to take in more of those questions. But yeah, Garn, you want to bring us home?
Absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you everybody for joining us. Like I mentioned before, this is our most ambitious release to date. We're super excited about all the work that we've been doing, and we're really grateful for our partners, especially our design partners that have been helping guide the new Ion experience, as well as those partners that we're going to be getting Ion Intelligence out to here in the next coming weeks and months. To recap what we talked about here today, the new Ion experience, we built it from the ground up. We've already started rolling it out to key customers today. Like I mentioned, get in touch with your manufacturing success manager to build a full implementation plan to roll out to your factories. The Ion Marketplace is going to be available this week for manufacturers to browse what partners we have so they could get the best out of their factories, as well as app partners and integration partners to sign up and get listed onto the Ion Marketplace. And finally, and of course, we talked about this a lot today, Ion Intelligence, it is the agentic platform for manufacturing. We're going to be starting with an exclusive rollout to debut to key customers in July 2025, with more broad rollout later this summer. There's a lot we have to learn, a lot we have to get right, and I think a lot of value that we're going to be able to unlock with the power of what we've seen. So thank you for joining us, and thanks, guys, for doing this with me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And let me add my thanks to the audience. We really appreciate your attendance and your questions. We know we couldn't get to all of the questions, and you'll be hearing from us for written answers to the ones that we weren't able to respond to on the webinar. For more information, please take a look at the QR code, and our landing page can direct you to resources that include videos, papers, and different new additions to the website that can help inform you on the new aspects of the product. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day.